Hello everyone and welcome to lesson 4-7, divide fractions on page 317. Now the last lesson was dividing fractions by whole numbers, so we are ready to divide fractions divided by fractions. Okay, let's take a look here. Murals. 3 students are painting an art mural. The art mural is half painted. So here's the wall, and the mural is half painted. If we look at half of the wall, it's half painted. They probably want to draw another 4 flowers on this side, or paint, sorry. Use the picture after exercise 4, this picture. Divide the painted area into 3 equal parts. Into 3 equal parts. Okay, I've divided it into 3 equal parts. Not exactly equal, but I think that's what it looks like. Place an X over each part of the painted area. Okay, I'm going to place an X over each part of the painted area. I'm going to paint next right there. Okay, that's painted. If I were to continue with my X's, I would do it like this. I mean, I could have put one large X here, but now I'm starting to notice a pattern. I'm noticing that here I only did half of this fraction, half of this part. So I'm assuming that now this is going to be broken into 6 parts. Because if I were to break it into 6 parts, it would look something like this. Right? Now I have 6. You see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? And it looks like it's still half painted, right? Half of it is painted. If this were broken into 6 parts, 3 are painted, half of it, right? This represents the part of each student has painted. Then divide the painted area into the same number of parts. Divide, okay, into the same numbers of parts. So what I'm looking at is 1, right here, out of 6 parts. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I see that this is considered 1 part out of 6 parts. This is another, this is another. Okay, so 3 out of 6 is still half. What fraction of the whole mural has each student painted? Okay, because remember, it's 3 students. 3 students. Okay, what part have they each painted? Well, they've only painted half of there. They still have to do the other half, but they, out of the entire wall, they have painted, here, let me see if I can move this down. Out of the entire wall, they have painted 1 out of 6 parts. Does that make sense? Okay, because there's 3 students, right? So 1 painted this one, 1 painted this one, 1 painted this one, and they've only painted half each, right? So they still have to paint the other half each. So half divided by 3, so we have half the mural painted divided into 3 parts, is going to be 1 over 6. And we can do the whole multiplicative inverse where we place this number over 1, but then we have to flip it, right? So when we flip it, it looks like 1/2 times 1 over 3, right? And when you multiply, you're going to get 1 over 6. Do you see that? See how that works? Okay. It is also true that 1/2 times 1 over 3 is 1/6. So here's what they're trying to show you, the multiplicative inverse. Compare and contrast the division problem and the multiplication problem. Compare and contrast. This is the division problem, this is the multiplication. In the division problem, you divide half by 3 to get the quotient 1/6. If you multiply half by the reciprocal of 3, remember the reciprocal of 3 is 1 over 3 or 1 over 3, the product is also 1/6. Please copy this down as a key answer. I will be checking for the little star right there. So a key concept is when you divide, you must actually multiply by its reciprocal. So to divide by a fraction, multiply by its reciprocal. So you see here, 5/6 divided by 2/3 is the same as saying 5/6 times 3 over 2. You see that? We flip these two around. That's the reciprocal. Okay? And there's the algebraic expression explaining that AB divided by CD is the same as AB times DC, flipped around, where B, C, and D cannot equal 0. The bottom, the denominators, cannot equal 0. Okay, example 1, take a look at it. Find half divided by a third. So we're going to take a half of a whole right here. This is our whole, and we're going to take a half of it, and then we're going to divide that half into thirds. Okay, so what happens when we do that? We're going to take the entire this is the half, and this is the entire thing, and this is the thirds. This is divided to thirds, and this is what we mean. So half divided by third means how many thirds in a half? How many thirds do we have in a half? We have 1/3 there clearly, and it looks like we have half a third right there, don't we? Okay, as you can see it there by the drawing. Okay, we have a half, we have 1/3 there, and like a half of a third. So that was a good image for us to see, to actually understand what we mean when we're dividing fractions. So now I have half divided by a third. I change it to its reciprocal, okay, so it's multiplicative inverse, and what I get is 2 times 1 is 2, and 1 times 3 is 3, 3 over 2, or 1.5. And you can see in the previous image that we have 1.5 thirds, because we were asking, okay, we're dividing half divided by a third, meaning when we divide a number, we're asking how many of these are in here. So how many 1/3 are in a half? Well, there's 1/3, and then there's a half of a third. So that would equal 1.5 thirds are in a half. So that visual was not intended to confuse you, okay? It was just intended to explain how fractions work when we divide them, really what we're looking for. So for example, look at this one. We have 1/4. So if I have a whole and I cut it up into fourth right here, I'm only talking about this little piece. And now I want to know how many 3/8 are in that. So now that same piece needs to be cut into eighths. Right? Now I have 8. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many of these are in that fourth that we already pointed out? Well, I see that we have 1, right? And 2, well no, wait a minute, and 8. We have 1 there, we have 2. It looks like we have 2/8, don't we? Well, how many 3/8? How many 3/8 do we have? 3/8 would end right here, actually, if you look at it. Here's 1/8, 2/8, 3/8. So we don't even have one of them in there, right? Because this is the first one, the second one, and the third one. We don't even have one in there. So it's going to be even a smaller fraction. Let's see if that's true. Let's write it out. 1/4 times 8/3. Let's cross-reference. There's multiples of 4. I have 1/4 there, and I have 2 there. 1 times 2 equals 2, and 1 times 3 equals 3. That's true. There's only 2/3. There isn't even one of these there. There's only 2 parts of 3 parts. Remember? If I take my whole and I'm only working with 1/4, which is this piece right here, right? This piece right here. But then I want to see how many 3/8 there are, how many 3/8. So I cut it all into eighths now, right? I cut all those quarters in half. How many 3/8 are there? Well, this is 1/8, 2/8, and 3/8. But I only wanted to see in a quarter. How many do I have? Well, it looks like I have 1 and 2, right? So I only have 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3. Okay, let's try B. For B, we're looking for, we have now 2/3 of a whole, and we want to see how many 3/8 there are in 2/3 of a whole. Okay, I changed to multiplication and inverted the second fraction. Okay, the reciprocal. Now, can I cross-reference? Unfortunately, I can't. So I just go right ahead and multiply 16, and I have 9. How many 9s are in 16? As far as I know, there's only 1. And then I have 7 left on the top over 9. 1 and 1/7. I mean 1 and 7/9. And you've already learned the trick that anything that's over 9, okay, you know when you change it to a decimal, it's going to be bar notation. So it's going to be 1.7 bar notation. Not that I'm asking you to do it, but it's just making a connection to other lessons, right? Okay, let's look at C. We have 5/6 divided into thirds. So how many 1/3 do you find in 5/6? There should be a few. I see at least 2, right? Because 1/3 of 6 is 2/6, right? And 4/6 would be 2/3. So at least there's 2 there. So go ahead and write it out using the multiplication and inverting the second fraction, flipping it. Okay, let's cross-reference now. I have multiples of 3 right there. I have 2 3s and I have 1 of them. I go ahead and multiply and I have 5 and I have 2 at the bottom. How many 2's are there in 5? There are 2 with 1 left over. See, I told you there were at least 2, right? There they are. It's 2.5. For the sake of time, please take a look at example 2 on your own. Let's skip to D in example 2, where we are being asked to write a story context for 3/4 divided by 1/8. Use a model to solve it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm thinking about pizza. So we bought an entire pizza and 1/4 of it is missing. Okay? So then here's our other slices with some pepperoni, okay? Whatever, and toppings. But now I need to divide that into 8s, into 1/8, because there's 8 of us that still want to eat the 3/4 of the pizza left. So how do we do that? Well, we have our 3/4 times 8 over 1. We cross-reference. We have 1 4 there and 2 there. And that's gonna equal 3 times 2 equals 6. Okay. So then we know that how many 1/8s are there in 3/4? There are 6 1/8s, and that makes sense, right? There are 6 of them there, so we could probably also identify how many pizzas were missing from the 1/4. So it looks like there were 2 missing because we were looking for 1/8, right? So if we were to go like this and finish the quarters, now we cut those in half. And yes, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this was the part of the pizza that was missing. So yeah, how many 1/8s are there? There are 6. So we can make 6 slices out of the 3/4 left. And now for example 3, we're going to divide a fraction divided by a whole number. Okay, so let's work with that. Don't forget that all whole numbers are over 1. Okay, all of these are over 1. So when we look for the multiplicative inverse or the reciprocal, it'll flip over to 1 over 4, 1 over 8, and 1 over 4. Okay? And now we can go right ahead and just multiply straight across the way you know. Remember to always cross-reference. Here's 1 and here's 2. Over here I have also 1 and I have 2 multiples of 4. Right? And over here I have multiples of 4 as well. I have 1 and then here I have 3. Go ahead and multiply right through. So I have 2 times 1 is 2, 9 times 1 is 9, 1 times 1 is 1, 5 times 2 is 10, and I have here 3 times 1 is 3, and 13 times 1 is 13. Well, that's an ugly 3. Please leave the guided practice for class, but complete the independent practice on your own. There it is. See you in class, everyone.